The only thing hotter than this heat wave is Smokestacks. Hello folks, Phil Gallagher aka ThrabenU here for another Legacy video, and today Adam has asked me to play with Stax, in the truest nature of that name, with actual factual Smokestack in it. At the beginning of your upkeep, you may put a soot counter on this artifact. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacrifices a permanent of their choice for each soot counter on this artifact. So this artifact does nothing the turn cycle it comes into play, which is a really big deal in current Legacy. And it's a big reason why this card doesn't see play. But let's imagine for a minute we don't die after we tap out for a Smokestack. The way this is going to work is in your first upkeep, you are going to sacrifice 0 things and then resolve your trigger that gives you the soot counter, meaning that your opponent is always the person who sacrifices first. And the idea is that you can just sacrifice something like a land every turn, while your opponent is sacrificing things that are a little bit more mission critical. And this is a deck that is very comfortable winning eventually. Unless our opponent just loses to something like Chalice of the Void or Trinisphere, we should not expect to win any games of Magic the Gathering quickly today. This is a deck that is comfortable beating down with a 2/2 as its win condition. And we have a full-on 15-card Karn tutor sideboard here, with everything known to mankind in it, including additional copies of Smokestack. So we are looking to do things like Wasteland lock our opponent with Crucible of Worlds, or bury them with repeated Urza Saga tokens via Crucible of Worlds. Like, we're very much a Crucible deck here. There are other ways that we can win. We can do some cute things with a Tezzeret Cruel Captain emblem or something like that, but generally speaking, it is the man lands that are going to be winning us these games. So we're going to buckle up for some longer games of Magic today, assuming that we don't get obliterated by fast combo decks featuring things like the Fantasticar, but hopefully Trinispheres and Chalices can help out if we do run into that stuff. And folks, should you need any Magic cards, please consider supporting my channel by getting them from toamagic.com, and when you do, use promo code ThrabenU to both save yourself a little bit of money, and also let them know that I sent you along. So with that being said, Stax. My opening hand is super unusual, in that if I don't play this Pithing Needle on turn 1, I maybe never end up playing it. I'm a Wasteland deck. I'm not happy about this, but I think it's what I'm supposed to do blind. It's just really weird because I'm a Wasteland Crucible of Worlds deck. Fucking punished. So in my head, I was thinking about naming the backside of Tamiyo, Polluted Delta, or Wasteland as my blind names. Hopefully Trinisphere just resolves. Ooh, nice. Now I don't even know that I'm upset if it doesn't. Here's 3-ball. Okay, 3-ball has resolved, which means my Karn should resolve as well. Are you Sneak and Show? Ooh. I think if my opponent is Sneak and Show, I already have Ensnaring Bridge in hand here. Yeah, I think I'm going to stick Karn. There's 4 mana. There's a Karn minus. Say yes. Might just pick up a key to untap this Grim Monolith, because I already just put in the bridge off of my opponent's show and tell. Alright, opponent fetches, and opponent passes. So I'm just going to go ahead and do this. Wow, we got a force for that. Excellent. Force pitching Ponder. I think I will just Karn plus on nothing here, and pass the turn. Yet another Prismatic Vista. Oh, not the combo that I was expecting. Is this going to be like a Cephalid Breakfast deck with Shukos? Curse Totem is fucking hilarious. So I can get Tormod's Crypt and cover the graveyard. I can also just get Grafdigger's Cage and cover things that way. First totem is cool, but if it's Shuko specifically, that doesn't work. Or no, I have Karn in play. Shuko is already off. This will be at 3 loyalty still. Yeah, okay. First totem into play. Let's see whether or not that was the right decision. I'm not used to this deck having red. This is weirding me out. Like, I don't know what I am playing around. I would like more mana so that I can stick Crucible, start recurring City of Traders. Oh, that's the answer. Hawkeye's Bow. So 1 damage gets sent at Karn. I think I'm going to go 1, 2, 3, tap this, play backup Trinisphere, plus on a Trinisphere as a blocker, and pass turn. Again, I think we're in win eventually territory. What the fuck? Okay. All right. Boy, that's weird. So I'll mill a bunch of stuff. This is where I pick up something like Karn's Silex. Do that for x equals 2 and clear those. That requires taking this Karn out of play. So I guess I'm not doing that yet. And do it the next turn. 3. Oh, sorry, I got a message I just had to respond to there. All right, I think I'm just gonna pass the turn there. I could Wasteland this to keep my opponent from doing a couple of things. All right, let's just always yield to these. Yeah. So Narcomoeba is something that I expected. You may have your Narcomoeba. All right, I mill some stuff. I need to get some cards out of my hand or play a second Karn. My opponent could, in theory, have a Force of Will here, at which point I would lose this Karn, and Hawkeye's Bow becomes live. I can also just Walking Ballista. There's also Tormod's Crypt. I think I'm going to play Ensnaring Bridge. I'm using this as my check for a counterspell. It resolved. Now I think I'll Karn minus. Grab that Karn Silex. I think I will play Wasteland from hand. I don't think this was the best way to do this turn. Now my Karn can be attacked and die. All right. There was a force. What else are you? Oh, you're just tapping that. I see. All right. Mesmeric Orb does its thing and finds a Narcomoeba. Yeah, so when I originally plotted out this line, I was thinking about getting Karn, this Karn into play by playing a City of Traders from there. And then I pivoted out of doing that. All right. That Karn dies. I have this Karn. There's also Kozilek's Command. My own Trinisphere is kind of annoying. Do I need to leave open Scavenger's Grounds? Maybe I need to leave open Scavenger's Grounds. Do I not care about this anymore? I think I don't care about that anymore. I think I play a land from graveyard and leave opened the Scavenger's Grounds. All right, so my opponent did not tap everything down to mill themselves. Okay, that's fine. Do I just take this damage? I think I just take this damage and do a Kozilek's Command at end of turn. Take 1, go to 14. Opponent is going to die to their own Mesmeric Orb. I'm going to make some spawns, I think, and exile some cards from my opponent's graveyard. I'm going to exile 3 cards. Let's exile Dread Return, Thassa's Oracle, and then I think the other one doesn't matter. The Force of Will. All right, bam. All right, so that Thassa's Oracle is gone from the graveyard, and I'm about to have other stuff covered as well. Blast Zone is funny. I really didn't want to draw an expensive card here. If I City and play Karn, I still have enough left over for Scavenger Grounds. That's fine. All right, there's Karn. It resolves. I will, I guess, tutor with Karn. Put a Ballista into hand and pass there. My opponent mills 8 with Mesmeric Orb. Oh, fuck, I forgot about these. I think that's fine. All right, mill 8. So there's another Narcomoeba trigger. I think I'm good to just nuke that there. Maybe I don't need to. What a bizarre game. This was not something that I was anticipating. All right, so it's a Feto Alchemist combo with Hawkeye Bow and separate Mesmeric Orb Cephalid Illusionist combo. In no capacity did I play that game right. In any way. GG, though. My opponent has a lot of basics, which is kind of annoying. The Karns have a lot of heavy lifting to do here. I have Tormod's Crypt as well. I do. So I think I'm going to board this in as something to play out early, question mark. A lot of this other stuff I just want to wish for. The ensnaring bridges are weird. My opponent's creatures are tiny, minus Urza Saga construct tokens. And the way that I probably win is by attacking my opponent with Urza Saga construct tokens, but maybe that means I go down a bridge. I could also like board in the Manifold Key to untap Grim Monoliths. My Grim Monolith kind of got stuck tapped that game. This is fine. Basic Island, opponent mulligans to 6 here, and opponent passes. So let's go ahead and play out a Pithing Needle and name one of my opponent's combo pieces. I could also straight up just name Prismatic Vista, and that would not be crazy, but let's name the bow. Would have gotten it. Opponent ponders, and then fetches. All these basics are very, very good. I mean, I can go into Karn immediately, but it may behoove me to take a turn off to play Trinisphere first as a combination of bait and protection. It eats a force effect. Thundering Falls comes down on my opponent's turn. They like their card. They can draw it with Tamiyo, who is annoying, but I can eventually deal with that via Karn. I think I'm playing patiently here. Here's a 3-ball. I want to see if my opponent left a counterspell on top for Tamiyo purposes. It was a Blood Moon. Sure. That means I just stick a Karn this turn. I can eventually Blast Zone that out of the way as well. Alright, there's Karn. I don't really know what I want yet. I think I'm just going to blow up my opponent's clue token there. Leave Karn at high loyalty. Because, like, sometimes Tamiyo transforms. Yeah. And I want to get the Disruptor Flute that is there to stop Tamiyo. My opponent could have attacked to put a clue into play prior to doing this, even though the clues don't do anything immediately. Alright, so, yeah. Karn minus. Say yes. Do you hit things? You hit things for 3. 3's not enough. With 15 singletons here. I guess minus Ensnaring Bridge. I kind of need to make sure there's not a better option. Goodbye, Tamiyo. I think I should have played, no, Blood Moon. Never mind, don't need to worry about, like, setting up Mishra's Factory stuff. Alright, there is an Alchemist. Do you shut off everything that I need you to shut off? I imagine the answer is yes. Bam. Karn minus. Say yes. Mycosynth for 6. Good stuff. So now my opponent can attack once, and then I Karn plus on something, and we're good from there. Alright. My ignorance for what my opponent was doing there resulted in that match being a lot harder than it needed to be. They were cooking. We figured it out, though. GG's. Today's video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, and I love them. I have over 1,000 deck lists here. And I think the thing that I like the most about them is they're more than just a basic deck builder. If you need information about your next pre-release or where you can get cards, they have that sort of stuff here too. Whether you need to manage your collection or just a couple of decks, Moxfield does it all. So go check them out. Alrighty, opening hand is fine. Let's start by doing this. And I think since I'm probably playing Trinisphere next turn anyway, I'm just gonna Chalice on 0 as well. Fantasticar is a fucked up magic card. Flooded Strand. Lol. I think this is fine though. I think we just go bam and play Trinisphere. And hopefully the combination of this stuff results in my opponent conceding. Negative, not immediately. So next we want to dodge Wasteland, so that Urza Saga can run wild and do its thing. Ooh, opponent's got a cantrip that works through Chalice on 1. Another Tundra comes down, and we have Thundertrap Trainer. or Prismatic Ending, which can answer this Chalice, which is like fine. I think I'm going to put this in play, throw the Grim Monolith in play for the future, and pass turn. That way I can potentially have a very large Kozilek's command at some point. Yep. Opponent is Esper. Thundertrap Trainer doesn't come in, obviously, because I have this coming. So there's a 3/3 immediately, which is going to get bigger fast. I think I'm going to Manifold Key here. And I think I'm going to take a tempo play here. Oh, I need to do this first. Untap the Monolith. So we're going to take out Thundertrap Trainer with this first one and make a bunch of spawns. GG, we just ran our opponent over there before they got started doing their stuff, despite the fact that we had a suboptimal Chalice on 0 to kind of hedge against Fantasticar nonsense. So it looks like my opponent is doing some sort of Esper control stuff. My ensnaring bridges are perhaps not amazing, but there might be like Felia Riddler stuff. I think in most rounds, I am just going to be whacking the submit button unless I see something that makes me want to make a nuanced change of some kind. The Trinisphere ing will continue until morale improves. My hand's not fantastic. Like, I need a land that is worth replaying with Crucible. Yeah. Let's restart the game where I have drawn an extra card. Blooded Strand comes down for my opponent. Now I get to play Trinispheres until I know that I can resolve Crucible. Yeah, if you want to use like a consign on this Grim Monolith, I'm good with that. Negative. All right, Trinisphere numero uno. Got a consign? You got a consign. That's fine. I got 2 more Trinispheres. Let's see how many basic lands you have. So there's Factory. Here's Trinisphere number 2. Opponent brainstorms. Force of Negation, pitching a Force of Will. I'm not done Trinisphereing yet. That's a non-basic land, though. Opponent cycles at end of turn. Or Underground Sea. Yeah, you got it. Low State. Yeah, seems good. You will need another counterspell, or I will just Trinisphere again. And I will take the time to just Trinisphere again. I think that is full worth it. All right, opponent brainstorms. Yeah, this was about the point that I expected things to resolve. So if opponent does something on their turn, I get to stick Crucible and start Wasteland locking my opponent. Yeah, that's your one. That's totally fine. All right, so my opponent has a consign, but can't do it because of the Trinisphere that's in play. So this is actually great for me. And the 2/2 Factory will beat this in combat eventually. I don't think I am sweating this in the short term. There's Wasteland, and I think I am attacking white mana here. Opponent fetches. Is getting another white source. They might have a Prismatic Ending for my Crucible. Oh, they've got White Orchid Phantom. I got nothing, actually. If you told me at the beginning of this league that I would start out 2-0-4-0, I would not have believed you, but here we are. GG's. This is fun so far. My opening hand is awkward. I need more mana. It's totally fine as long as I draw more land. I have turn 2 Chalice, turn 3 Trinisphere, and I start doing Urza Saga stuff. But it's possible I should just mulligan this, because the risk of this failing and not playing Magic at all is so incredibly high. I think I am going to mulligan it. This is a way stronger hand, holy shit. All right, so turn 1, Chalice on 1. Inventor's Fair is going back. I don't know what I am doing on turn 2 without getting a feel for what my opponent is doing. Underground Sea, yep. And Ponder. I think I will Wasteland my opponent rather than Chalice on 1 immediately. Let's do that. Kind of restart the game. Use this as a way to gather a little bit more information on what my opponent is doing. We know nothing about whether they are a tempo deck or a Doomsday deck or a Fantasticar deck or whatever as of right now. But I know that I'm sending Chalice to the Void this turn, for sure. Opponent does not like that. And brainstorms. All right, I do get dazed. So that occurs. We can try Chalice or Trinisphere next turn, as seems appropriate depending on how this game develops. All right, well, every card in my hand is a banger, assuming that I have the mana to deploy them. And I know that I don't get dazed this turn. So I always have to play Urza's Saga here. I think I try to resolve Crucible. Trinisphere is very damning, but the easiest way for me to lose this game is to get this card, or this card, honestly, Wastelanded. So I think I'm just going to not try to cheese a win immediately with Trinisphere and attempt to play a longer game of Magic. Basic Island and Flow State. Yeah, you've got it. And now I can decide whether or not I even want to cast Trinisphere. It may just be that like playing Urza Saga tokens is just better. I don't yet know whether or not my opponent is Doomsday. This moment is such a big decision. I think I'm going to try to beat them with Urza Saga tokens. I don't know if that's correct. Like, if this is just Flow State Doomsday, it's super awkward for me to not play Trinisphere here. Alright, opponent ponders. And my deck doesn't have the haste enablers, things like Lava Spur Boots or Skateboard, that these Urza Saga decks often have. It is another Flow State. Yep. I will make my token at end of turn a Karn. I don't think that's relevant here. So I'll make another one. Maybe just Mox Opal. I will Wasteland my opponent, redeploy Saga, and send in, and then next turn I can play Trinisphere while also Wastelanding my opponent. It's just more Flow State. But this is Flow State while I have 8 power worth of robots in play. Oh, you are combo. Alright, understood. Every artifact I put into play is +2 damage. I think there's a very good chance that my opponent has a counterspell. I could go for... I think the answer is just ignore this and attempt Trinisphere 2 different times. So here is attempt 1 on Trinisphere. It is Force of Willed. I can now either Wasteland or attempt 2 on Trinisphere. Wasteland is guaranteed for if my opponent needs black, and does not have Dark Ritual. But Trinisphere is a banger if it resolves. I think I want the Trinisphere. Nice. So this means I get 10 damage, which means that my opponent's Doomsday piles cannot involve Street Wraith. The problem is I can just die to Fantasticar if my opponent can do something about this in a spot like that one. Ooh, GG's. We won a 7-turn game there. Against what I am assuming is Doomsday. My opponent played out that Lotus Petal rather than holding it, so I don't think this is a dedicated card deck. So, I am going to assume that Smokestacks are going to be just fully too slow for this matchup. I'm going to board literally anything else in those spots. I can keep some number of ensnaring bridges to respect Karn. I might just board this in as something to play earlier. I might just board Walking Ballista in as something that has power and toughness. If you squint at it, funny. What am I pithing? Needling? Cameo could be a thing. I might... What else can I board in reasonably? Mystic Forge? I could also reasonably board in Damping Sphere. Alright. This is okay. I don't know if this is going to be fast enough to beat some of my opponent's better hands. Like, I really want Ancient Tomb in my opening hand basically every game while playing this deck. But I have a couple of different things here for if my opponent has a turn 1 Thoughtseize, which they do. That's a bobble. Alright, we do have cars, it seems. But probably not in this hand if they are cycling that bobble immediately. My opponent gets a chance to get under this Trinisphere. Basic Island into Ponder. And another Thoughtseize. Alright. I lose Trinisphere. My hand is now quite bad. I sending in for 2? I think I'll send in for 2 and pivot into an Urza Saga game. Activate Factory. Drop my opponent to 13. Okay, so now there will be an instant in the graveyard for flow state purposes. No other land drop. Ooh, boy, that's weird. I think with double Factory, I just do that. And I respect the Fantasticar appropriately. Daze. Sure, that's fine. That island can come back down. My opponent's got flow state. Now I'm probably making an Urza Saga token here. Still no land. Is actually a little scary, honestly. Just Mox Opal. Full Guide Lantern can't tag instant or sorcery completely out of the graveyard. There's Opal. I will drop a Saga and pass, and I can probably take Expedition Map out of play. I could also just cycle this. Leave this in play for artifact count. I don't hate that. Oh wait, I can't cycle this. This doesn't make colorless. Okay. And let's sack map and get an ancient tomb. Ghost Quarter is mighty fascinating. I don't know how many basics you have, but my guess is 2. Going for Swamp here because it casts Dark Ritual. Yeah, nice. We'll change phases. I'll send in with these. Without counting, I feel like this is lethal next turn because I can boot these up as creatures as well if need be. There's another Underground Sea. Bauble. Sure. You may take a peek. Oh, I think I missed a point of damage on my turn by not animating a factory. 3-ball as well. Alright, activate this. These are 4s. The next artifact that I put in play will represent lethal. I'll grab a Soul Guide Lantern. I will junk a flow state from your graveyard. Get that off screen. If my opponent has a removal spell or something that deals with one of these, this plus this is not lethal. I think I go ahead and just 3-ball here. See what my opponent has to say about that. Ooh, echoing truth. But the Trinisphere sticks. And if my opponent casts another Soul Guide another flow state, I just junk this in response. Yeah, you can't Murktide Regent. Alright, so there's a flow state. I will go ahead and exile your graveyard. Cool, cool, cool. Ooh, nice. I assume that is worth doing. A little weird because tapping this Ancient Tomb puts me into the range where a Fantasticar for 16 does kill me. I think we're doing that anyway. Boot them both up. In for 4. Opponent to 6. Folks, Smokestacks is 3-0-6-0. Has not dropped a game yet. Absolutely wild. GG. Alright, opening hand is gonna do stuff. I can just Karn on turn 1, which I probably just do. If this was an Ancient Tomb, maybe you make the argument to instead lead on Chalice on 1 and use that to bait potential counter magic. This is one of the first turbo hands where we have lined up everything easily. So 3 mana off Monolith, and then we will untap Monolith. Opponent says not you too. Friend, if you knew, you only knew what I was doing, you would approve of it. There's Karn. Karn minuses. Coding, I assume, is the first thing that I want to represent. Our opponent says some kind words. Why, thank you. Alright, there's the turn 1 win. GG. I know nothing about what my opponent is doing. I will therefore assume that my deck is perfect and flawless, as we have currently won 7 games in a row. So with no information here, this was a high variance hand. I am going to keep it and hope that Wasteland is good against my opponent. If they lead on like basic island, I'm sad. Mox Diamond. Okay. I mean, so now just don't have life from the loam? Yeah. This is fine. Please don't have life from the loam. Opponent says this isn't Forge. Sure isn't. So I will play another Wasteland past the turn. I'll tag this Urza Saga in upkeep. That way if they have crop rotation, it costs them their entire turn. Yeah, nice, nice, nice. There's a Yavimaya. I think I just keep going, right? I think I just keep going. I do have to send a smiley face in chat. I believe that's legally required under law after wastelanding your opponent 3 times in a row. Alright, you can have my Blast Zone, I think. There's a Ghost Quarter. This is now the point where my opponent could life from the loam. Fuck! Do I concede? I think not yet. Oh, fuck, that costs 3. Now I think I just lose both of my lands in this turn cycle, and I concede this one. Okay, so now I know what I'm playing against. Disruptor Flute would be okay to board in. Extra Ensnaring Bridge I could think about. It specifically said I'm not Mystic Forge, so I could board in Mystic Forge, and it would be funny. I kind of want to board out Trinispheres. My opponent doesn't cast all that many spells, so like anything somewhat reasonable looking that I can board in might be coming in here. I could do this. The Smokestacks are just not where I want to be versus the Life from the Loam deck. My opponent might be able to outvalue me in terms of like Life from the Loam being better than Crucible, and they can have multiple land drops via exploration. All right. So this has lands, but doesn't do anything. We'll do better than that, hopefully. City. 1-drop, 1-drop. Mox Opal map. Oh, this is awkward. So I can get Crucible up very, very quickly, but I'm not convinced that this hand is actually good. I'm going to ship this one as well. Ugh. All right. We're playing a slow Urza Saga game, which I do not like here. I think we just lost this one. I'm going to go ahead and just play this out. There's a lot of timelines where my mana is tight later, or my opponent drops a sphere and everything is awkward. Mox Diamond comes down. Tabernacle. Alright, there is a sphere. So now I don't get to Tezzeret Cruel Captain immediately, which is unfortunate. The Planeswalker being in play would be pretty cool. And I probably don't get to do it next turn either, because I imagine I get Wastelanded. Ooh, that's good. Resolves. That can just name Urza Saga outright. But also name Karn. Ooh, they have named Soul Guide Lantern. Sure. So Life from the Loam is coming in my future, is what I'm hearing. I'm going to drop Inventor's Fair and pass. I want to play Tezzeret next turn, and I don't want to have the Urza Saga ticking up while that happens. Ancient Tomb. There is Life from the Loam. So it's coming, but I can stick a Planeswalker. So this costs 3 mana, so I can play City and then still do the thing. So Monolith, 3 mana, 4 mana, Tezzeret Cruel Captain. I think I'm going to go ahead and minus and pick up my Pithing Needle, which I cannot cast this turn. My long-term plan is going to be ultimate this thing. All right, Malevolent Rumble. Ooh, can get Exploration or Ice-Till Explorer. Both of those are pretty darn bad for me. Yeah, I can still get Wastelanded in this turn cycle. Ooh, I will untap Grim Monolith. Oh, Mr. Percy wants the window. Been so hot here, I've pretty much left the blinds closed pretty much indefinitely. So I can't answer Ice-Till Explorer with this right now, so I go 1, 2, pay the tax, and then I am 3, so I am short of that. I can do it next turn, which probably just means that I needle Wasteland in the short term. And I will get my loyalty counter here and pass the turn. And then next turn I hope to clear a chunk of the graveyard while also getting Ice-Till Explorer. Like, that would be cool. Oh, opponent hit Boseiju. Yuck. That's Life from the Loam for a bunch of stuff, which I think I'm just going to let happen. Like, I can stop this in the short term, but the Ice-Till Explorer is still a problem in the long term if I don't save the Kozilek's command for that. I don't know, maybe that's just wrong. Yavimaya comes down. Oh, that's really annoying. Alright, I'll float some mana. Oh no, there's nothing. Now I can't use this on the card that I wanted to. How am I using this? Not the way I want. Tag Boseiju, so that my Pithing Needle can't be answered with it. A new Grim Monolith? Sure. Ancient Tomb occurs. So now I can go Grim Monolith, counter here, Grim Monolith, activate Urza Saga, counter here, tutor, Manifold Key, and then be better ready to take advantage of a big Karn turn in the future, with Tezzeret and Grim Monolith untapping it. All right, there's Ice Till Explorer. That's Saga. I also can, like, tutor up a forge or something with Inventor's Fair, or a bridge, if I have to do that. Another sphere. Sure. All right, so I'm now gaining life off of this. What big silly artifact could I tutor up? Smokestack doesn't seem good. I'd get Crucible. Crucible helps me keep up with this nonsense. I could do some math here. I'm not going to. Blast Zone is neat, but is probably not getting through. I could exile my opponent's entire graveyard with Scavenger Grounds off of Expedition Map. That's not the worst. I think I'm going aggro. Just put a counter on that. Send it in. I want to end this game before this kills me. And I can do that next turn with an unblockable creature. So let's untap Monolith, 3 mana, crack map. Wasteland is Pithing Needled. I can clear Graveyard. I can already get through Urza Saga stuff. Let's get Scavenger Grounds. I will put that into play for later. And I think I'm just going to hold Ghost Quarter available. All right, their Urza Saga goes up. Oh, what was that? That was just a forest. Sure. It's another Urza Saga. So those are their land drops. Gain a life. Okay, so that's not a real thing. So let's go 3 mana. This can't be blocked. That's a GG's. Ooh, okay. We dropped a game finally, but we are 4-0 playing for a trophy with Smokestack. GG's. Would not have expected these sorts of results. This is going incredibly well. All right. I don't think this does anything. This doesn't get to Trinisphere, and if I wasteland my opponent, I don't do anything. This is, I think, an unfortunate mulligan, whereas this looks pretty good. I am going to keep this, and I think pitch Bridge or Karn. I think I'm going to pitch Bridge. I think I am winning the game versus combo decks here with a hand that looks like this. And then the next question is, do I shove Chalice on 1? I think I do. Does it resolve? Ooh, either Doomsday or Death Shadow. Probably Doomsday, because Death Shadow doesn't see a lot of play. In which case, resolving Chalice into Trinisphere will be real good. Oh, that's not bad either. It's not what I'm doing immediately. I'm just always going to slam Trinisphere. Notably, these cards don't win the game, they just buy me time. My opponent can eventually just 3 lands, cast Trinisphere, and do a slow Doomsday pile. That just hardcasts a Thassa's Oracle normally. Alright. Doomsday is the deck that I think is probably the best deck in the format right now. So this is a scary deck to be playing against in the 5-0 round. Do I play Saga? I think I play Saga. Then the next question is, do I attack for 2 or do I cycle this card? I think I am going to beat down my opponent's life total as hard as I can here. Because sometimes it is a battle of inches at the end, where a single point of life is the difference between being able to fetch or Force of Will or cycle or whatever. I stop Dark Ritual into Doomsday in the short term. That's the thing that I have going for me. It is a really big deal that I do not have access to haste from something like Skateboard or Lava Spur Boots. Like, it might legitimately be a game-losing difference. Oh shit, it's Fantasticar instead. Yes. Ooh, but opponent does not have the ability to get there immediately with it. So I have a 2/2. I have a couple of Kozilek's commands. Alright, what do I have that I can search up that's relevant? Not a lot. Probably Mox Opal. Probably just Mox Opal. Yeah. Yeah, there's a very big difference between not attacking with this body this turn. Like, this is the difference between me having lethal next turn and not. It's disastrously bad that I do not have a source of haste in this deck. Like, I just missed 5 damage. Alright, that is Dark Ritual. This doesn't produce colorless mana for using this to get rid of a token. So that's a second spell. Third spell. Oh, fuck, I missed a point of damage again by not activating this. I'm so not used to playing with Mishra's Factory. Oh, okay, my opponent just didn't have it. So my little misplay did not cost me, but it was very close to costing me. GG. Adam, you need game one. You need game one haste. Take the smokestacks out of your main deck. Add haste enablers. Your deck will be better. Okay, what is literally anything I can do that is relevant versus combo? Damping Sphere does stuff. Disruptor Flute does stuff. I'm going to have to leave something in the board to tutor for with Karn. Pithing Needle and Soul Guide Lantern are both pretty weak. I might keep Soul Guide Lantern literally because it just cycles. Let's assume I take that out. All right, so Damping Sphere and Disruptor Flute get in there. I don't mind just playing this out and floating this in play. That could be my 60 right there. And then Karn tutors for Ensnaring Bridge or Karn Silex. Karn Silex also does things versus Street Wraith, huh? I wonder if I should just board that in. Not like Tezzeret Cruel Captain is particularly good either. Karn still has a decent number of things to tutor for. All right, yeah, I'm in. Gotta get one of the next two games here, and this looks like a fine hand. It's gonna just play a Trinisphere on turn one, potentially. Scalding Tarn. And a Ponder. Lotus Petal comes down. Uh-oh. That is a Doomsday. I think I am using Chalice of the Void on 0 as bait to resolve Trinisphere? I have to do them in that order. It's not like I can Chalice after the Trinisphere. But I could use Grim Monolith as bait to resolve Chalice on 0. Okay. Opponent has made their pile. They are at 9. There's not Lotus Petal. There could be... I'm assuming there's 3 Fantasticars in the deck, and all of them are right there. So all the Force of Wills are accounted for. My stuff might resolve. I think in case this is a Lion's Eye Diamond pile, I probably do Chalice on 0. There's also Chalice on 2. Can't do that this turn, though. So the other thing is, this could just be a Fantasticar line if there's the 4th Fantasticar, in which case that might just beat me. I'm trying to stop Thassa's Oracle stuff. Oh no, sorry, there's the last Fantasticar. Okay, so it is Oracle as the line. All right. Chalice on 0. Grim Monolith. 3 mana. Trinisphere. That's what I got. I spent a lot of time thinking through the line that I was already just going to do anyway. There's Delta. I would like to draw land destruction, I think. Trinisphere. I don't know what you're doing there. That is not land destruction. So I play a land. I lose city. I will go 3 mana. I will cast Kozilek's Command and float a mana into my next turn. Disruptor Flute is insane. I will happily take that. And then I hope that my opponent doesn't beat me this turn, in which case I can Disruptor Flute Thassa's Oracle. It's a land drop, and opponent is passing the turn. Okay, cool. This will cost me this as well. I don't think Urza's Saga is relevant. In that case, I will throw down Inventor's Fair. On my opponent's upkeep, Disruptor's Flute. Hot damn! That feels good. That's the trophy with actual factual stacks. GG. So that's our trophy. That's great. Overall thoughts on the deck list. It might sound crazy to say this. I think this deck still needs a lot of work. I think we got incredibly lucky today. And I think you can probably change about 10 slots in this deck still. I'm going to just move the sideboard off the screen for a minute here. This deck was fully too slow to matter. And if anything, it hurt us being in the deck, not only because it is a glacially slow card, but also because it's something that gets stuck in our hand for ensnaring bridge purposes. So the very first thing that I would do is probably turn 1 smokestack into a skateboard. And I would probably turn the next one into a second copy of Manifold Key. I think this deck has some explosive openers that involve Grim Monolith, and I want those to line up a little bit more frequently. I'm not sure how good Tezzeret Cruel Captain and Kozilek's Command are. I don't have the One Ring in this deck, and Tezzeret untapping both the One Ring and Grim Monolith was something that was like real and mattered while playing actual factual Tron. This card was not impressive, so I would say these cards are probably on the chopping block. And similarly, Kozilek's Command got stuck in my hand a bunch. There were only a couple times in the entire league where I lined up big mana Kozilek's Command stuff. So I would consider other options for these 6 slots. Like one more main deck ensnaring bridge is totally fine, for example. I don't know if the basic wastes makes sense in this deck. You don't actually need colorless mana. Or if you get Blood Mooned, you don't have waste for Kozilek's Command, and Kozilek's Command doesn't get cast by Mox Opal, which came up a couple times as well. So wastes could probably just be the 4th Mishra's Factory as well. Or you could change these lands around to play more copies of Ghost Quarter in an attempt to utterly exhaust your opponent's resources. So, like, that's 9 cards in the main deck that I think we could probably change, despite the fact that we 5-0'd. Maybe more. Inventor's Fair felt very slow as well. Like, you open up chains where you can Expedition map for Inventor's Fair and then, like, turn that into a Crucible or whatever, and that's kind of cool. I don't know if that's actually good enough. And then as far as this stuff goes, I think you pull the Smokestack out of it, and I think I want to be able to board in some number of cards for combo decks. Like, having more than one Disruptor Flute in the sideboard, for example, could be a really big deal. Having a few more pieces of Graveyard Hate that I could bring in could be a big deal. And maybe you can combine some of these slots. Like, do you need Karn Silex at the same time that you have the Filigree Silex, or are those close enough in roles that you can play one or the other? It may be that you need to tone down the Karn board, like 1 or 2 cards, to just make some of your in-out numbers work for matchups. Or it may just be if you tighten up the main deck, you're good enough against enough things that it is fine overall. I could also see defense grids being something that this deck wants to play. Like the play pattern I played, I forget which matchup it was, where I just jammed Trinisphere after Trinisphere after Trinisphere, exhausted my opponent's resources, and then stuck the card that I was actually trying to resolve. That same sort of play pattern can happen with defense grids as well. I am overall rather happy with this. Like, you can't ask for better than a 5-0 result where you hardly dropped any games. Like, that is great. But I think we did that despite Smokestack being in the deck, not because Smokestack was in the deck. This today might be an indicator that, like, Chalice of the Void and Trinisphere are actually in an okay place if people are out there trying to do busted Fantasticar stuff all the time. Just saying no to their artifact mana and rituals and the ability to flip 4 cards into play is, like, very much a real thing. All right, with that, I think I'm going to call it a day. I'm going to get this video edited, maybe do a little workout, and then I've got a podcast to record tonight. Folks, I hope you enjoyed. If you did, consider leaving a like or comment on the way out, and I hope you have a great rest of the day. See ya!